Hi, and thanks for joining us today. My name is Josh Garcia. I am the founder of Ventus Mexico. We specialize in the recruitment of English-speaking professionals, bilingual professionals in Mexico and Latin America. Today, I'm going to focus on how to open up or how to set up your business in Mexico. Now, I didn't have a lot of details on this, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring a professional, somebody who knows how to do this, how to set up your business in Mexico, setting up your registration. You won't go through an EOR, which is an employer of records. This is actually this is a company who wants to set up their registration in Mexico. So what I've done is I've brought in an attorney. Her name is Samantha Bazan. Why don't you join us, Samantha, real quick?
Thank you, Josh. Hi.
So Samantha is an attorney who specializes in a number of different things. I'll let her kind of go into that real quick. And if you need to contact her, we will put up her email on the screen and in the comments as well. Samantha, thanks for joining us today.
Hi.
Can you just kind of give us an idea, a little bit of what you do here in Mexico as an attorney?
Yeah, so my name is Samantha Bazan, and I specialize in corporate law, helping companies from their startup, creating the company, all the way to the moment and when they can hire employees. So I see a little bit of labor law, mostly in counseling, and I also do the administrative part of creating the company, having all contracts, everything, and also help a lot with immigration for foreigners in Mexico.
Thanks, Samantha. So the reason we did this today is that we work with a lot of companies who are in the United States, Canada, different parts of the world that want to hire and actually want to create or establish their entity in Mexico. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring in a professional who knows all the steps and can share with you how to open up a business in Mexico. Okay, so Samantha, can you just kind of walk us through some of the steps? I know you've written them out here. If you can see it, great. If not, we're also going to put this, on the video so you can actually see it on the screen and you don't have to kind of squint your eyes. So go ahead, Samantha, if you don't.
So I've written down 6 steps, which are basically the steps you need to start and do or create a company. So the first step, you need to have residency in Mexico. A lot of people don't know about this. It's not part of the creation of a company, but for you to create it, you have to be a resident. Either you're Mexican or you have to have residency. There's 2 types of residency, temporary and permanent residence. Whichever, you can create your company. So this is the first step that you have to achieve. And this one has to be started outside of Mexico in a Mexican consulate and then come into Mexico to obtain your resident card. Once you have your resident card, then you can start with the other steps. The second step is asking for an authorization or permission from the Economy Secretary of State for the name of your company. You have to choose what name you want to put your business in, and they are the ones that are in charge of authorizing that name. This step can be done online. You don't have to be in Mexico. There's no traveling. This can be done online. Then once you have your name authorized, you have to hire a public notary. A public notary is the only one in Mexico that is allowed to create a company. When you create a company, you receive a document, like in many other countries, but in Mexico, it's a long document where you create, and it has all the objectives, everything that you need to work in Mexico, to start working in Mexico. The registration with the Registry of Commerce, which you can also do, but normally it's the notary who does this. This registration is done locally, not federal or state. This, wherever you have the address of your registered for your company, that's the city you'll have to make this registration with. This, including the notary, takes around a month. And once you have this registration, it's one document, you can obtain your RFC, which in Spanish is Registro Federal de Contribuyentes. It means the Federal Registration of Contributors. It's your tax ID number in Mexico for the company. So this tax ID number is obtained in around 3 weeks, but only because you have to have an appointment. And when you have your RFC, your tax ID number, you also obtain your fiel, which is your electronic signature. That's what it's called. With this fiel, you can make any changes or additions to your company. For example, if you want to hire people and at first you didn't register like you had any employees, then you make that change. Or you want to open up another office in another city or even the same city, you add that address, and that is done with the electronic signature. So everything, any changes, even tax declarations, are submitted with this electronic signature. Once you have this, you can end your process to create a company, and that's with your bank. You open a bank, and this process does take around 3 weeks because the bank, they ask for all of the documents that you've already had previously obtained. And the bank does take 3 weeks reviewing the documents. And then once they've reviewed, they open up your bank and you can start paying taxes, hiring people, and start working.
Okay, thank you. So a couple of questions, obviously. So this is the entire process for establishing your entity in Mexico as a corporation, as a business. Once you have this in place, then you can actually hire employees directly with your company. You can pay them all the benefits necessary, including Seguro Social, which is Social Security, IMSS is healthcare, all the benefits required by law. And this helps you become compliant within Mexico and actually allowing you to pay your employees what they need to stay compliant. Now, a couple of things I wanted to point out and I had some questions about is, first and foremost, in item number 3, which is basically the public notary, just to give you some idea, the public notary in the United States, I'm not sure about Canada, is usually just a person that is authorized by the government or the state, where you just go in, you sign with them. They're basically a witness. Now, in Mexico, it's a lot more prominent role. It has a lot more authority. In most cases, it does have to be an attorney, right?
Yes, it has to be an attorney.
So that has to be an attorney. You have to sign documents in front of the public notary, and it's a very important position. It has a lot of prominence here in the country, just to give you a heads up. And another couple of questions. This is to establish your bank account. I was going to say, this whole process, Samantha, what do you think it should take if somebody is coming into Mexico, started from scratch, and they want to set up their entity in Mexico? How long would this process take?
So this whole process, including the residency, should take no more than 3 or 4 months. It shouldn't take more than that.
So 3 or 4 months, and they can set up a temporary residency from a consulate or whatever,
yes,
which would help them establish an entity. And if you guys, just to give you an idea, if you have additional questions about this is just kind of preliminary information, giving you an overview of how to create your business. We are going to put Samantha's information in the comments, but we're also going to give it's going to pop up here on the screen here in a minute. So if you need to hire in Mexico, if you have plans of hiring, feel free to contact me or our company, Ventus Mexico. If you want to establish an entity in Mexico, and you can also hire her directly so that she can help you establish this entity. Now, overall cost on this, something like this, Samantha, what do you think this would cost somebody if they wanted to do this? What would be the kind of their rough estimate of what they would pay?
Yeah, so a ballpark of how much to complete the 6 steps would be around 50,000 pesos, which is like $2,500.
Okay, so today at today's exchange rate is about 2,500 US. That's what it would cost. And now, does that include legal fees?
It does include legal fees.
Okay, so that would be about all in 50,000 or 2,500 US. So I hope this was helpful. If you do have intentions of setting up your business, feel free to give us a call. Feel free to contact Samantha directly. We hope this was helpful. If you do like our content, feel free, please subscribe on one of the buttons here below. Leave comments below if you have additional questions. We look forward to seeing you on the other side.